Los Angeles is famous for its sprawl, a city without a center. But in the 1920s and 30s, downtown was the heart of it all. And the banks and bars stayed open all night long. When Prohibition hit, the party kept going. They just moved it underground into a secret network of speakeasies. There were no worries about getting busted because crooked cops and big-time politicians were running the show. Back in the 1920s, the place to be in Los Angeles was around 5th and Main. Palatial hotels, swanky saloons, and million-dollar theaters were all crowded into a 10-block radius. Downtown LA is the original Los Angeles with all these vintage hotels and theaters. I'm meeting with Richard Shave. He's an expert on everything downtown, everything underground. Richard, how you doing?
Good to see you, Don.
You too.
Welcome to old downtown Los Angeles.
Right. This is the glory days right down here.
Main Street was where everything happened.
If you peeled up this modern intersection, you'd find the remnants of a vast subterranean hive dating back to 1910, when horse-drawn wagons crowded the dusty streets. To avoid the chaos above ground, 70 miles of service tunnels were built, connecting the basements of all the major hotels. But just 10 years later, they became the perfect setup for illegal drinking dens. The basement of this modern-day bar, the King Eddy Saloon, was the center of LA's seedy underworld. This saloon in Prohibition, what was it?
Well, it wasn't a saloon because it was illegal to run a bar. It became a piano store.
Oh, really?
So
Which was a front?
the Speakeasy was downstairs, so you'd go in to look at a piano and go through the back and down the stairs this way.
Okay. Once a speakeasy, always a speakeasy, huh? A lot of these places, these speakeasies, would use their delivery chutes as the entrances to the place. So that's how people got down sometimes. And this is the entrance here, the cloakroom. You would have talked to this guy here, and then back here you would have maybe used the special knock. Who knows? And in you go. 90 years ago, this shabby basement was crowded with LA's elite thrill seekers, breaking the law. This is a bar, like other bars, but they're all underground.
They're all underground. They're pretty makeshift.
Mm-hmm.
They painted these murals to give a little decor.
But almost 90 years later, Richard could still point me towards evidence of high-powered corruption. What is this all about?
They store the beer and they store the food.
Look, it's a drink.
It's a keg.
The foam on a beer. Whoa, look at that. And there's a cop on it.
Making sure that you're not bringing your own liquor
Look at this. You got a cop talking to a guy right here saying, no, that's a bad idea. You've got to drink my booze, not yours. Because they were used for nefarious purposes, no one kept a detailed map of the downtown tunnels. But the basement of this Skid Row bar was definitely connected to that shadowy world. Look at this. I mean, this is wild. This is the decoration for this entire place, all a big painted mural. And down below are all these tunnels all throughout Los Angeles. So this particular one, this door here, may very well go through to one of those tunnels, but he's going to get the building manager to see if he can open it up.
Don, this is Bill. He's the manager.
Do you know this door?
No, I've been here 30 years. It's the first time I've seen it.
No kidding. Do you mind if I give it a shot?
Give it a shot. Well, you may be running across a brick wall.
Yeah. Okay. It's not moving. All right. That is stuck.
Sold, and the new owners came along, and very nice guys, and you know, we both sat down and just two different visions on what the King Eddy Saloon should be and will be. They would like to see everything revamped and a lot of money put in this place, and we were on board to put money into it, but not the type of money that they were they wanted, and also not the type of gentrification upstairs to what we liked and what we were. So yeah, this last week here it's going to be very fun, but this will be the last good old dive King Eddy Saloon that you see upstairs. But you know what, at the same time, the new owners coming in, and I promise you it's not BS. They're a good group of guys.
They are.
And
Johnny Valenti's a good guy.
yeah, they have a vision for this, and they are going to clean it up, and drinks will be a lot more expensive and a lot more like up the street. And they won't be opening at 6 a.m. But they have, promised and kept their word on everything that they've told me, and they say it's going to remain a neighborhood bar and the door will be open to everyone. But yeah, the drinks will be more expensive, so I don't know if our regulars will be coming back.
Budweiser bottles.
Yeah, those are long gone though. We actually got rid of them too, unfortunately. But the good news for people like you and the people that are on the tour right now is where we're standing right now won't be just an area where you throw your junk. It will be revived and will be a speakeasy, and I'm sure the drinks will be even more expensive down here.
If I can interrupt,
yeah.
Just from my discussions with Johnny, the hope is that the drinks upstairs can stay lower and the drinks down here can be higher, and that the two are going to play off each other to help sort of.
And I'm sure the drinks upstairs will be cheaper, but they'll still be a lot higher than ours.
No,
so
I know. I'm just
no, absolutely. And again, what Richard is saying is true too, because they do intend to keep this a neighborhood place, and I do believe they intend to be more competitive than other places in the area, and more competitive than their other establishments as well.
Yeah.
So yes, again, for you guys that are into this and the history, Richard, I believe and I hope and I think he will do a good job helping them and really repainting
whether they
the
like
picture.
it or not.
And they'll
like it.
they'll recreate this thing, and we can all come down here. I'll be excited to come down here and see what they did, and they'll create a masterpiece to what it used to be. We spent a lot of time today cleaning it up for you folks. This actually, the whole door was like this right here. So we got the racks off, and believe it or not, this is clean for down here. I swear. So you could.
It's amazing.
You can imagine what it looked like at 7 a.m. this morning. But yeah, so I appreciate you guys coming, and I appreciate you guys being into this, and I'll pass it over to the man that knows what he's doing.
Okay, well let's just go straight for the fire door. Okay, everyone just go over there, take a look. Okay, so yeah, so uncovered this, filming an episode for Cities of the Underworld 3 years ago, Dustin, something like
A
that.
little bit longer than that, yeah.
4, okay,
Yeah,
it's been a while. I don't know what to say except that it is an incredible social document. This is an oil painting on a fire door. I can only imagine this was painted in here during its days as a speakeasy. It's a wonderful 19th century vignette. I think that might be blood on the door. I don't know. I don't have.
I cut my finger on it earlier.
Yeah,
but
I don't have any test kits. I was hoping someone from the forensics lab at the criminalistics department of Cal State LA would come, but they haven't. It's an incredible document. So this space down here during the Volstead Act, 1919 to 33, this was a speakeasy, and I think that this painting is a wonderful document from that era. I'm relatively sure it's from that era. It might even predate Prohibition. There was a bar here back when the hotel opened in 1906. There's been a bar here since the hotel opened in 1906. So I can't, my wife has all but a doctorate in art history, unlike myself who only has a bachelor's degree barely. So I can't speak as a conservator of painting, but this is a great document. I really hope that this stays a part of the space down here.
Did you say you just uncovered it?
We were down here filming an episode for Cities of the Underworld, and they said, "Can we move this?" And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because it's more dramatic if we break stuff." And I said, "You told me you weren't going to break anything." And he started knocking stuff over, and I thought, "Wow, Dustin's never going to talk to me again." Oh well.
They are going to use it though.
And the third or fourth shelf he knocked over was this, and we were all just, Oh my fucking god.
What's the other stuff on the walls?
You know, this is just a fresco. These are just frescoes. Yeah, these are just, I have no idea when these frescoes were painted. I have no idea. I think it just shows that this space has been used as a place for people to come down and carouse for a long time. You know, they have the covering on the pipes is even painted. So we won't worry about what the pipe insulation is made of. We'll just note that it is painted, and it's probably very old.
So what's going to happen to the King Edward Hotel? And all
The King Edward
residents
Hotel
upstairs?
is going to remain a residency hotel.
Stay in a sort of-
The people that bought it have a long history of taking over residency hotels in downtown and keeping them running. The Hayward Hotel is an example. The Hayward has fundamentally, I think, remained unchanged under their directorship.
It does need to remain low income through, I believe, 2063. So
Yeah.
there's not going to be anything crazy going on up there until then. But you know what? I've been up there recently because we had to go up to the roof for some wiring issues, and even the things they've done, the paint and the repairs they've made in the immediate time have been. It's a big change to what it was with the old owners, and it's something that these guys stand by, and they do a very good job when they take buildings over like that.
And actually, while we're on the topic of the King Edward, the Hotel Baltimore across the street is 1912. The Hotel Baltimore actually started life at 7th and Olive, where the Los Angeles Athletic Club is now. And Harry Chandler actually bought out the Hotel Baltimore, bought the land, the plot bought the hotel to build the athletic club, and paid for the Hotel Baltimore to relocate to the center. No, they didn't relocate, but he bought the land, and that's where they decided they wanted the club. And the Baltimore moved to across the street. Kim, do you want to quickly speak to the lobby of the King Edward Hotel, which is intact as far as we can tell?
Yeah, it's just over that way. Obviously, it's smaller than it used to be, as all these lobbies are. They tend to get partitioned off over the years, but you can peek your head in. You can see it through the window, and if you're nice and polite and you don't act like you're trying to sell something inappropriate, you can wander in and have a look around. And also, all the shops on either side are part of what was once the lobby. They have the same floor. The lobby's really cool. It's got a fantastic sort of mosaic-style tile floor. It's got exquisite marble, black with golden leaf coming through it from Egypt. And it's really some of the most beautiful stone you've ever seen in your life. That's almost the entire check-in desk. And then above the desk, there's a clock and the initials TR. And if you go in there, they will tell you, Theodore Roosevelt slept here. and this is something they will tell you every time. And I started figuring out that I was actually going to have to sleuth this and discover if this had happened or not, because I didn't believe it had. And Theodore Roosevelt came to Los Angeles in 1903, and the King Edward was built in 1906. That was when he was president. He came back in 1911. He was not president at the time, and he stayed in Pasadena. So as far as I can tell, he never stayed or drank at the King Eddy, but I am convinced the only thing that makes sense, and I'll say I'm 45% sure this is the reason, they had a lot of drunk customers, a lot of Shriners. Entire shrine conventions would come to the King Edward, and I think being named after a foreign king could actually get you popped in the nose. So you put the initials TR up, and suddenly you're very God bless America, and I think that's why they did it.
And to add to it, several movies that we've all seen over the years have been filmed not only in the lobby, in the hotel, and also in the bar as well. And
Beretta.
What's that?
Beretta.
What else?
He lived there, right?
Yeah, Beretta lived at the King Edward with his parents.
And
Cockatiel.
Yeah. That was the
Another
TV
one.
show. Yeah, Robert Blake as Beretta lived at the King Edward with his parents.
But yeah, there's been tons of things, and you'll notice it here and there when it just pops up. You're like, oh, that's the King Edward or the Eddy. And so it's been.
I think I'm going to run up and start to get my head around the 7:15.
All right, yeah, I'm going to show
we have
them.
a couple. Yeah, do you have time?
Another great feature, and it's
Can
pretty
you
tight
come
back
with me and
here,
help me?
so we might have to
Or
go
you
in a
can
single
take
file line. There's a walk-in cooler that we're going to go look at right now, and it's a cooling station that I have no idea how they used it back in the day, but somehow they got ice boxes, and it's actually a pretty cool thing to look at, and they're going to use it as a prop for the speakeasy. Also, the safe right there that you walked in, that's our compressor. I'll talk over it. The safe right there is a pretty cool old artifact from the olden days. It was closed. We did not know the cost combination. I had a locksmith come in to open it for me. My fingers were crossed. I was convinced I was going to find a nice stack of cash to walk away with. There was absolutely nothing in it. So yeah, we'll go look at this, and that's pretty much everything. Be careful, because there's stuff everywhere. Is the light on? You know what? Hang tight. It's going to be really dark, so...
We'll wait right here.
Go ahead and go that way and then loop around and I'll meet you on the other side.
Follow me. So these are actual manhole covers at the top leading down to the sanitary sewers.
Yeah, more artwork, old brick, a lot of crap, a lot of dirt. But getting over to here, this is the cooling station and you'll see it as you walk through. Feel free to open it and take a look inside. There's absolutely nothing in there. This used to be stacked with a lot of old signs and cool stuff that we got out of here and went through, mostly junk. But yeah, as you can see, it's actually in pretty good shape. And it's another fun piece down here. Look out for spider webs and please watch your step.
Hi.
Hello.
You're gonna miss this place,
I
aren't
am,
you?
yeah. This is fun though. It's fun giving tours and kind of, you know, it's crazy how many people are interested. I always say, like, I always feel like I'm letting them down because everyone expects so much great stuff and it's not that cool. But it is, to me at least. And then at the end here, you'll see an old elevator shaft. It's completely caved in, no longer works. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But I don't think we touched on the bootlegging.
I'll talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead, because you know more than I do. Absolutely, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so essentially, let's step outside because
yeah, it's tight.
We'll go where we can all see each other. Thank you. Happy step.
Where do you want to go?
I'll go back where we were.
Okay. I'm going to grab my beer since everyone else is having drinks. Why can't I?
So the question is, why a speakeasy? Why a secret bar? 1917, City of Los Angeles went dry 2 years ahead of the rest of the country, and in so doing, it triggered a need for a subterranean alcohol trade. Unlike the cities in the East, where there was already an established mafia that was prepared to take over vice, and the making illegal of alcohol trade actually turned into a huge opportunity for the East Coast mobsters and for the Midwest mobsters. Out here, it was a wide open town, and the people who ended up getting their fingers in that pie were the police under the direction of the mayor's office. And they ran a very, very clean house. In fact, when Eastern mobsters would show up here and try to get involved, they'd usually get beaten up or killed and dumped on the outskirts of town, and so they didn't come back. The old bar that was upstairs shut down, of course, as legally it had to in 1917. It became a piano store, we've heard. But downstairs, it just continued to thrive as a liquor establishment. It was one of almost certainly thousands of secret liquor establishments that would get perfectly safe booze delivered. You know, you hear about bathtub gin and people going blind. That wasn't an issue if you were going into one of these protected establishments. I mean, sure, if you went out in the backwoods or somewhere like up in Ventura County, you might run into some booze that wasn't safe, but the stuff here was either being imported from Canada or Mexico or being made by scientists and being sold by professionals. The muscle here were policemen, and that's why the mural on the wall is just so fantastic.
Speaks volumes.
The guys who were in charge of making sure things ran very smoothly and safely were the guys who were protecting and serving. And so down here, until the Volstead Act was repealed in '33, this was a place among many you could get a drink, and I think people just had, much as they do now, this wasn't a secret. People could pick the bars they liked. There was a speakeasy inside the Biltmore Hotel just a few blocks away, and that was actually in the hotel. It wasn't subterranean, but there's a panel in the ballroom that you push on, and suddenly you're inside the walls. And it leads to some different caverns and so forth, and eventually come to a nice room. This one is pretty mysterious, except for the fact that John Fonte, the great downtown novelist, when he wrote his book Ask the Dust, which he was looking back in 1939 on his experience in the late 20s in downtown LA, he set this incredible scene where he gets his first royalty check after struggling to become a famous writer. It's all he wants. He's just reaching out to Mencken in Baltimore. He wants Mencken to make him. That sounds really odd. And eventually he sells the story, he gets a script, and instead of sending the money to his mother, as he should have done, or getting himself a suit, or getting a nice place to live, he ends up here in the basement being seduced by the sad sack stories of these B-girls. And the B-girls were in the more low-rent establishments all over town, and they were just women who would basically hustle you to buy them very, very expensive non-alcoholic beverages.
Hostess girls.
Hostess girls, yeah.
Do you know anything about what King Eddy's the bar was like in the past? Like, it was always kind of like this, or does it had its ups and
I
downs?
think it's had its ups and downs. I mean, in 1906, when this place was opened, it was a pretty prestigious, top-of-the-line establishment. A lot of people were coming here traveling. If you read in the papers, you've got people coming from the East and from Europe. This is a nice place to stay. And the cafe that was here at the time doesn't really make the news, but I'm sure it was a perfectly respectable bar. Most of these places were so well politically connected that you never hear about anything unless something incredibly egregious happens.
Your husband's pushing me, I'm sorry. To get everyone up and the next one down.
Thank you so
Guys,
much
I
for
really
joining us.
appreciate everyone coming, and thank you very much. And if you have time to hang out and have some drinks, please do, and enjoy it while it's a dive bar. Thanks. Thank you for coming.
All right, let's get started.
All right.
Okay, before, just, you two need to sign this, just on general principles. Thank you. All right, this is Dustin.
Hi everyone, I'm Dustin. I am the lucky current general manager and owner of the King Eddy Saloon with my family, the Croik family. Excuse me. We are at the basement, and I'll pass it on to someone that knows much more than I do about history in a few minutes, but I guess I'll give a background because the people in the last tour had some questions about why we sold and why the hell we would do that, and I agree, because why would we do that? But basically the backstory is my grandfather bought this bar in the mid-60s with a partner of his, and then later on in 1969 he bought his partner out and loved it so much that he wanted to make this part of his life on top of some other things, businesses. And we have been going strong since then. My father was lucky enough to also be in line, and as soon as he was old enough, he took over. And he's run the King Eddy Saloon for as long as I can remember. And unfortunately, he passed away, and that's why I run it now. And I'm lucky to have to be the heir to this, and what a great bar it was. The reason we decided to sell was because my grandfather and the old owner of the hotel were old school type of guys, and the way they negotiated their lease every year was with a beer and a handshake. And that was every year for them. It would either the rent would go up a few bucks or the rent would stay the same. It never went down, that's for sure. But they were old school, and unfortunately the old man, the grandfather of their family, passed away, and that family fell on hard times, and the hotels went into bankruptcy. And that's when I came along and realized that we really had no lease, and we attempted to get a lease in case something like this happened, and unfortunately, due to their situation, we were unable, and found ourselves in a pickle when the new owners came along. But it was not anything. There's no hard feelings. The new owners of the King Edward are great people. They have a vision for this place, and I think that getting into it in a few minutes, you guys will like what you hear about what's going on down here in the gentrification of this area, Los Angeles Street. Basically, the reason why we decided to move on was because they wanted someone to put a lot of money into the upstairs and turn it into a nicer type of place, not so divey and more upscale. And you know what, we were willing to put some money into it and make it nicer, and but never take away what we built. And what we built was a dive bar with cheap drinks and a fun place for everyone to come and enjoy themselves. And we the way we've run that bar is the way we've run it for as long as my grandfather has, and to change our operation and do something different was not something that our family wanted to do. So we decided to move along and pass it on, and it was time. So I can assure you that the new guys coming in, everything you hear and everything you've read about their plan for this, they're men of their word. They plan to put some money into this, make it more upscale, yes, but also honor the past and honor the history of what the upstairs in the King Eddy Saloon was. Drinks might be a little bit more expensive for everyone, but the door will always be open. I can tell you they definitely won't be open at 6 a.m. anymore. But you know what? It is what it is. And the new guys, the good thing, and I think everyone down here, if you're involved with history and you like the story about here, you will love to hear that where we're standing right now will not be just one big storage area. It will be a speakeasy, a replicated speakeasy of what it looked like back in the day.
Right, and I think I'm Richard. I think what's strange, what's interesting. The vision for this space is one that is shared between you and the new owners. That I remember years ago when we first met you. One of the first things you said was, "Wow, this was the famous scene in Ask the Dust. We really need to reactivate this space." So,
well, actually, you're the one that told me.
Oh,
about
did I
Ask
tell
the
you that?
Dust.
Okay.
And then I went and read the book.
We quickly had the conversation where you said, "Wow, I really need to figure out how to reactivate this space." I can't believe I just used the term reactivate. I'm really tired. Okay, so it's interesting that that's a shared vision of the Croik family and the people coming in. So
which is something great.
This has been an interesting. This has been a space of interest for some time. Let's everyone just turn around and look at the
good stuff now.
Piece de resistance of this tour. This wonderful oil painting on a fire door. You know, this is now the second tour I've given in the last 20 minutes, and every time I talk about it, the more I realize, now that I can actually see it with all the shelving gone, I think this might be from pre-Prohibition. I mean, this is a 19th century vignette we're looking at. There's been a bar in this hotel since 1906. At some point, someone painted that, and it hasn't really had a lot of light since then. We know that this was a speakeasy during Prohibition. John Fonte wrote about this speakeasy in his novel Ask the Dust. And this bar goes back into under the King Edward Hotel lobby.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes, and it did.
It did, yeah. So I'm not a conservator of painting. I don't know the age, but I'm hoping that the new guys coming in get someone maybe from the Getty or a private conservator to come down and give a gander on the age of this. I wouldn't be surprised it was before 1919 when Prohibition happened.
That's the first I've heard of that, and now that we've opened it up, because
I mean, look at
today,
this is such a great.
Today this was blocked earlier today by stuff and shelves and a bunch of junk, and this is the first time Richard and I and everyone's actually had an open look at this. Because we spent all day clearing it out, and to actually look at it with lighting and open
It's fantastic.
It's much better than what
absolutely
we thought.
Breathless.
Yeah.
Absolutely breathless.
Well, I mean, we've always assumed it was a guy sitting in the gutter with a drink, but it actually appears to be someone sleeping on a bench, which is so timely for downtown LA.
Yes.
You can't sleep in
And to
downtown
touch,
LA.
I think the last two we missed this. To touch on it, the painting here speaks large volume to what went on down here and how the LAPD were the main people that ran it.
During this comes up every time someone asks me to talk about this as a speakeasy and how they made their liquor. You quickly have to point out they didn't make alcohol here. You weren't allowed to sell alcohol you made. You sold the approved bootleg liquor that came through the supply lines into Los Angeles, which was a direct chain of command from the office of the mayor. So yes, during Prohibition, you right. That yes, so that always yes.
Yeah.
We always get to make that correction. This is such a great wow. This is just absolutely fantastic. I love this. So probably a late 19th, early 20th century police officer telling a transient to move along. Boy, Carol Schatz hasn't gone that far, has she, Kim?
No.
Carol Schatz is head of the Businessmen's Luncheon Association, who wear funny hats and give people prizes for spinning wheels on straws and saying that they're going to hire, create new jobs by doing that. We're all going to do that one day. We're going to stand in the corner and spin straws. So Carol Schatz will hire us. Don't laugh. Privatizing downtown. This is a great painting. Wow. I'm absolutely speechless. I didn't even look at this last time I gave this 10 minutes ago. Wow, this is absolutely fantastic.
And Richard, the other paintings, they were obviously done by other people,
yes,
and not the same artist.
Yeah, this space has been used, it's been painted for decades. Obviously, people have been coming down here and painting the space and making it more colorful because they're sitting down here drinking beer and carousing.
I painted a stick figure one year, but I guess someone painted it over it.
God bless you. I'm going to excuse myself. I'm going to go back up and get ready for the 7:30 tour. Dustin, you still have 5 minutes. So I'm going to let people. I should. Should I give him the mic? Well, because I got to go upstairs.
That's fine, I'll see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Or can I give it
there's
to you
another
another
aspect of it. This isn't the only thing. It's always interesting because people come down here, and I feel like we let people down because everyone hears the history, and it's just a big junk. Storage. But as you can see, when we first walked in, I'm going to talk over the compressor. That safe right there is something very interesting as well. That's an old safe that we don't have a year on that, but we use it as a drop safe. It looks certainly like it was part of the early 1900s. My grandfather used to use it. Somehow we lost the combination, so I had a locksmith out a couple weeks ago to open it up. I was very excited about that and thought I was somehow find myself being a millionaire, have my fingers crossed, and when that thing got open, there's nothing but dust in there. So, you think you're going to be rich, just like every time you get a lottery ticket, and unfortunately I wasn't. But that's something really cool, and then behind this wall we're going to go, and it's kind of difficult because it's really tight back there. There's a tight hallway. We're going to see a really old cooling station. It's a big walk-in refrigerator type that they use. It's wood panels. It's made of wood, and it's actually my personal favorite aside from the painting down here. And the new guys that are coming in are going to restore it, and it's going to be a main attraction along with the door here. And again, I'm pretty excited to come back, and as hard as it is to walk back in this place and not be the owner of it, to walk back and see what they're going to do down here will be really cool, and I think they're going to do a really good job from everything that they've told me. So we're going to go this way, and then you're going to have to go single file and just check it out and then come through. At the end there's an elevator shaft. You'll see the whole thing fell in and caved in years ago, so that doesn't work. But yeah, the cooling station's a pretty awesome aspect of down here as well. And I really appreciate you guys coming down here and spending the last week, because this has been my life for so many years, and just the fact that you guys are interested in it and everything is really cool, and I hope you hang around for a few drinks and I get to talk to all of you. So yeah, just head
Dustin,
this way.
wait, what was
behind the door?
Oh, good question. That's
Mic on you.
yeah, sure. Ready? That's a very good question. Behind that door right there leads you to the hotel, which would go under the hotel. But the underground tunnels that you've heard about here, and probably one of the main reasons you're here, thinking that you could see one of them, hoping, as you can see, there's a hole over there that's boarded up behind the racks over there. That on the History Channel special that Richard did, you could actually see below the hotel. But unfortunately, we caught someone trying to chisel their way and get in here, so we had to board it back up. Yeah, interesting. But in answer to your question, that leads to under the hotel, and then it leads beyond that. Kim, I believe that it leads to the Alexandria. And
No one knows for
nobody knows
sure.
for sure, but
I mean,
it's
they're
said that
all
it
over
leads there,
downtown,
and then
though.
it goes. It's just an underground world that no one knows. Hopefully, they explore it one day and really can get through everything. But down here, the King Eddy, this will be the last time that we can all kind of come in here and just hang out in a bunch of crap, if you will, because it's going to be a pretty nice bar pretty soon, which will be fun. Does anyone else have any questions about anything that went on down here?
So was there only one person interested in buying the bar?
There were several, and That's a good question as well, and there were several, of course, because it is such a historic place. And you know what? These guys were the right fit. Like I said, they're men of their word, and you know, just like we had a talk with the new owners of the building, we also had a talk with the new owners that were coming in and wanted to hear everyone's plan, and their plan was very good, and they seem like a good group of guys, and we got to get going. But so yeah, let's go this way, and I'll lead the way. And yeah, just watch your steps, everyone, because there's junk everywhere. But yeah, you'll see coming through. You're gonna see more artwork as well as we're walking through. You kind of see how the tunnels go. It's a really tight tunnel. This, if we broke through the wall on the other side, we keep going through to the hotel. Another painting. As you can see, all the old brick, which will be restored.
Okay. All right, I'm going to bring everyone down.
And then you get to the cooling station, which again is my favorite, and will be restored and will look really awesome when it is. Feel free to go ahead and open the door when you come through and take a peek inside. It's pretty dark, but it's also pretty cool. It's pretty endless. You can see it goes for a lot longer than it looks. And then at the end is the elevator shaft. And yeah, this is another feature to the underground of the King Eddy Saloon. Yeah, watch out for those. Those are extra. If you want to take one.
What is this weird thing? I don't know.
Oh, and another cool thing is, over the years since the 60s, this has compiled several old neon signs, pictures, posters, everything. So we recently went through this and got it all out and found some really cool stuff, which we will be having an auction next Saturday. That's part of why we cleaned things out today as well. Just trying to find some hidden gems to auction off so people can take home a piece of the King Eddy.
What time is the auction?
We're going to start around 9 o'clock next Saturday on 15th.
I heard you telling the architects that you used to illegal cooking down here.
We did back in the day, but don't tell anyone, please. At one time, we used to have a kitchen down here, and we would serve food. This thing's been here as long as I can know, and yeah, we used to use it as a drop safe, and we had the combination at one time, and it was left down here. It weighs, I don't even know how much, probably weighs the same amount as like a rain can or something.
If you're on the 7:15 tour, eventually wrap it up. Not to be stingy. So I'm just going to get started because we only have 15 minutes, and I'll talk first. Let's look at this painting. There is a fire door. This is a fire door. This was uncovered. About 3 years ago, I got Dustin's permission to come down here with the History Channel for Cities of the Underworld, and the host said, "Yeah, we like to break things." And I said, "Yeah, you can't break anything. I actually come to this bar, and I like them." Like, "No, we like to break stuff." I'm like, "No, you can't break anything." And so I put him in touch with Dustin, and they said, "No, we're not going to break anything." And so we came down here, and the first thing was to start breaking stuff. It's fucked up. Never going to open this bar again. I really like this bar. And we found this fire door. So magically, everyone was really happy because, of course, we found this painted fire door. And this is the first time anyone in recent memory has seen this completely revealed. It's a hobo sitting on a bench being pushed along by a police officer in obvious 19th century garb. When I just saw the first half of it, sort of poorly framed through shelves on camera, I said, "Oh, this is painted during Prohibition because this is a speakeasy," because it was. And now I'm thinking this was probably painted when this bar opened in 1906, when the hotel opened. There's been a bar here since the hotel opened in 1906. This is a very early painting. My wife, who's all but dissertation with art history, Kim, she's much smarter than Kim, what do you think?
I think I'm over here. Hi.
What do you think? Do you think it predates 19...
You know, it could easily be 1920s. It could be a little earlier. It's a comedic drawing, which means it exists outside of time.
It's so great, and I've always thought of it maybe as a late 20s, but I don't know. Okay, I'm not a conservator, but it's fantastic.
Someone could
And-
test the paint and probably tell you.
Right. If you had someone from the Getty, because they have conservators there because they can afford it, or you could hire a private conservator to come down and do some tests, they could tell you. I wouldn't be surprised if it predated 1915. 1917 is when the city of Los Angeles voluntarily went private. Okay, so I think everyone come in and take a look, because this is the highlight.
Tell us about Prohibition, Richard.
Prohibition. Okay, so in 1919, the Volstead Act came into law, and it was illegal to consume alcoholic beverages, possess them, make them, traffic them, etc., etc. City of Los Angeles voluntarily went dry in 1917. This is an important fact for cities like Watts, Venice, and Vernon. You could still buy alcohol in Watts, Venice, and Vernon in 1918. This made nightclubs in Vernon very popular. This is why Vernon became an industrial city. Prohibition killed nightlife in Vernon. In 1920, everything in Vernon shut down, and the Leonis family said, industry, no residents, no nightclubs, just car plants, just sheet metal, foundries, and that's how it happened. Venice was its own city, and you could get so very interesting. There's Dustin. So this place is closing. It's changing owners. Dustin is the grandson of the man that bought this bar in the 1960s, and they'll be switching owners, and I'm going to let him talk about that.
Excuse me.
Are you ready for me?
Yes, I am. We are. Lisa, thank you. So this is Dustin. Dustin, I've already shown you the painting.
Great. Hi, everyone. Sorry. I really appreciate you guys being here. I really appreciate your interest in this. This place means a lot to me, my family. Obviously, it's a very hard thing to do to get this up and move on, but the backstory to this is we didn't have a lease in place. The old owner of the hotel and my grandfather were old friends. The way they would negotiate everything was a beer and a handshake. So every year they'd sit down when their lease terms were up, and it would go up a few bucks or stay the same, and the handshake would be done, and they'd move on. But unfortunately, that gentleman passed away, and we did have leases written up at some point, but they went into bankruptcy, which was a difficult thing. And at that time, we were unable to get a lease. So this was always a worry of ours that something like this could happen, and sure enough, it did. But not at all were we forced out. The new owners that came in were great people. They gave us the opportunity. They just have a vision here, and it goes along with the gentrification of Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles, and what's going on up the way and stuff. And we do too. Only upstairs there's nothing like upstairs. If you guys hang out downtown, you know, this is one bar that is second to none. It's a dive bar. It's blue collar. It's exactly the way it was as it was in the 70s and 80s. So
When Loretta lived here,
we were willing to put some money in it, change it, but you know, to make it something that different from what we've done, what my grandfathers did since the 60s, is something that we weren't on board for. So there was no bad blood. You know, it's just the King Eddy and our eyes should remain one way and one way only. The new owners that are coming in are very good guys, the guys that we sold to. They have a vision here, and it goes along with the other guys. They're going to clean upstairs, but they're men of their word, and they say that they're going to keep it a neighborhood bar. Prices will go up, don't get me wrong, and they're pretty open about that, but they're saying they will be competitive with other places. But it will be a nicer type of place, which if you like that, it will be good, but it won't be the way it is upstairs now. The good thing, though, about this, and something that I'm also excited about, and something I always wanted to do myself, is where we're standing right now won't just be a storage area. It will, in fact, be a speakeasy, and they are going to redesign, replicate this into what it looked like back in the day, and you'll be able to have a probably $12 cocktail down here. 16,
I
15
will happily
maybe.
have a $12
Yeah.
cocktail down here if they open this place up.
This gentleman to my left, Richard, as you guys know, he will have something to do with redesigning this and helping them, and they already have a vision.
Whether they like it or not.
They have a vision, a design team, and they're on it, and they're doing both at the same time. So for us, my grandfather's dream was always to do that, and we wanted to do it a different way as well.
Can you repeat that? Because I'm not sure people understood.
What?
Your grandfather wanted to reopen this space.
Yes.
So it's a shared vision that you and the new owners have.
That's something that
It's always been something that's been on the radar.
And it's this gentleman told me about Ask the Dust, the John Fonte book. And that was the first I ever heard about the King Edwards. Well, I knew that this used to be a speakeasy, but that was when I started getting into it, and we really started looking into it.
You were like, wow, this really like this is real.
Yeah. So, but you know, unfortunately, all great things must come to an end. In our case, we're going to move on, and hopefully we all can come down here and have enough money to buy those nice expensive drinks and enjoy it down here. It will be cool, and the new owners are very nice guys, and they're going to do a good job down here. I really like them, and I actually really like the owners of the hotel. It was just two visions that went separate ways. So we're going to go around the corner right now as well as this. And
Perfect.
Yeah, we're going to go check out the refrigerating system, or not refrigerating system, but the refrigerating system back then that they had. It was a cooling station, a big walk-in cooler. It's pretty tight back there, so we're going to have to go like single file type of deal. But feel free to open it, take a peek inside. It's pretty dark in there, but you'll see it's big. It looks a lot bigger than it, it's a lot bigger than it looks on the inside. So go ahead, take a peek. At the end of there on the left, you'll see an old elevator shaft, which is completely caved in, doesn't work anymore. Those are two really cool things down here.
And that elevator shaft was, if it were working, would go straight up to the lobby of the King Edward Hotel.
Not that one.
Oh,
Yeah, there's one under here that we can't see.
Right.
Oh, speaking of that too, someone else had a great question, the last one. This, what's beyond this door
Right.
is you would go under the lobby of the King Edward Hotel.
And the lobby of the King Edward Hotel is farther west on East 5th Street. So you're
going.
basically walking west if you were to go through this door.
Nobody knows how far the tunnels go, but we do know that there's tunnels and you can literally keep going and keep going.
If you could break down walls that city engineers told owners to put up in the 60s and 70s, you could go a long way west. They started in the refrigeration plants closer to Central on East 5th Street. In the teens, you would have refrigerated water piped into all the hotels for cold air as a primitive air conditioning. So these are service tunnels. I'm going to go upstairs and get ready for 7:45. Go back, and we're going to have both groups cross in about 5 minutes.
So yeah, you guys just checked it out. It's pretty cool, right? Yeah. So yeah, you guys lead the way for that, actually. That'd be cool.
Careful with the safe. I know it weighs 1,000 pounds and it's not going anywhere.
You'll see there's more artwork coming back here. And there's more brick back there. I'll meet you on the other side. Just go ahead and follow them.
It's called art.
Yeah. Probably 6 months, I think. Yeah,
You been in the Merit building?
I'll meet you on the other side.
The Merit building?
Where's
You
that?
been in the Merit building?
No, I don't think so. Where's the Merit building?
There's 8 in Broadway.
Oh, one of the columns. No.
So yeah, this is it. This is the piece right here. Is
I'd
that
like to get
thing
in there.
going crazy?
Yeah,
Let me
it's
know.
a cool effect you guys added.
What a perfect time for that to
I've
happen.
heard people used to get in there back not that long ago.
Well, deal with it. I don't want to
Like to get
electrocute
in there.
myself. I gotta turn the thing off.
Because you can.
Yeah,
That's just
Go ahead and come through, and then I'll fix it as soon as you
The
guys are
shade.
done. But yeah, this is, as you can see, it's a pretty cool deal.
Let's see what we can do.
They used it. They had ice boxes and all kinds of cool stuff back then. Hey man, that's my corner. Don't touch it. So for us to sell was a very big decision, a hard decision, but one that was bittersweet almost. In the point that the building was sold and we had no lease. Just to give you a quick background, because everyone's been asking why we're selling, and if you're interested, I appreciate it. If not, you got to sit through it real fast. I'm sorry. So my grandfather and the owner of the other building were old school guys. Handshake and a beer was how they negotiated their lease every year. Then finally, when my father was along, we got something in paper, and the lease expired. And the old man that owned the hotel unfortunately passed away as well. And current owner, the operator at that time, fell into bankruptcy, and we were unable to get another lease. So we always feared, not having a lease, that this situation could arise, that it could get sold and we could not get a lease. And that was the situation in this, but we were offered a lease by the new owners. But the lease came with strings or contingencies, however you want to call it. But it was ones that are good and good for the area, and really big on the gentrification of Los Angeles and downtown LA specifically, turning this area around. And it's one that I agree with, to clean this area up, but it's one that I don't agree with in the aspect of the King Eddy Saloon should remain what the King Eddy Saloon is. The new owners are going to come in and they're going to do a good job. They're a very nice group of guys, and they plan to make it a neighborhood bar. They're going to be putting a lot of money into it, and changing the vibe upstairs, if you will. You know, of course, drinks are going to be a little bit pricier, and it's going to be a much nicer area to hang out in, not so divey and not the charm that I have grown to love.
But you've grown up with.
Yes.
You've grown up at this place, Dustin.
I've been coming here since I was 5 years old with my father to work, and I used to sit at the bar. But so the King Eddy Saloon, the way I know it, is the way that I felt it should remain as long as my family operated, and that's how our whole family felt. So we decided to step away, and we sold to this group of guys that were a great group of guys. And
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
This is the last one. What? Just out of curiosity, what did you sell exactly? Just
Okay, that's a good question.
Liquor licenses are hard to come. Did you sell the?
Well, our liquor license was a hot commodity at the time. The King Eddy Saloon, as you guys all know, because you're here and interested in the history of it, there's where we're sitting right now is historic. And if someone with a great plan came down here, they could do great stuff with it. So, in answer to Richard's question, we sold our liquor license, and we sold it to a team that got their own lease with the new owners and had a plan. And part of getting the liquor license and having a lease here from the new owners was having that plan that followed what their vision was. So both have the same vision, and it's going to change this place a lot. The good news about everything is that where we're standing right now, we'll all be able to have a drink within a year probably and hang out, and it will be back to looking like a speakeasy and will be a replication of what it was, which is a very cool thing.
And something that you wanted, your grandfather wanted. This was something we
Yeah.
talked about early on when we met you.
We had
bringing this space back as a place that was part of the bar.
Absolutely, we had the vision as well to redo this, and again in a different manner. And Richard, when I first came along in 2008, when I took over this place, Richard came along and was helpful with everything and helped me learn the history, because I was a young kid and I always knew a little bit.
I remember your dad when I first brought it to him.
Oh yeah, he was a hard man to deal with. He would never do what we're doing.
He was very confused.
He was a rough guy. But so yeah, he showed me Ask the Dusk. He gave me a copy. I read it, and from that on, my grandfather always wanted to do a bar down here, and so did I. And unfortunately, we couldn't invest money without a lease, and then it went the way it did. But getting back to it, the good news is, and I hope that everyone thinks it's good news because it is that this will be a really cool attraction to come to and hang out and have a few drinks. If you want to spend $16 on a drink or $20, but
The price is going up every tour we do,
It
right?
was 14 last year. But then I really set it in my mind. I went to the Edison one time. It was like $19 for a drink, so I don't know how expensive it will be. But anyway, the coolest thing about this tour is going to be, to your right, this mural that we're looking at on the door. And we spent some time down here cleaning everything up today.
Everyone should thank Dustin for clearing the shelving away, because when we uncovered this a couple of years ago for the History Channel's Cities of the Underworld, we really only got the center part. Really just the frame of this 19th century police officer and this hobo. And we didn't see all of this hobo on a bench being hustled along by police officers. It's just a great scene, and it's a gem. I mean, this is just this is folk art, right, Kim? This is a genuine expression of the Geist of whenever it was painted at some point between 1910 and 1933. I would say the earlier. I would err on the side of closer to 1910. It's a great piece. So everyone, come take a look. Don't just stay. Go take a good gander.
I would
And
say
so
this is the main attraction.
yeah, I would say I'm hoping this is going to be a centerpiece of this space when it's reopened as a space. So Dustin, I guess you're going to take people maybe back.
Yeah, we'll go over and check the other one out and let it run. Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, we'll do another one.
Yeah.
So another cool thing too, and I'll give you guys some time to look around, do whatever you want. That safe that we walked in is also another cool piece of down here. That's a safe we found. Well, actually, I found it when I came along, but we used to use it as a drop safe. And as you can see, it's beat up now because we had it opened by a locksmith. I was crossing my fingers and in serious hopes that there was going to be a nice stack of cash in there, but nothing but dust. So it was like a lottery ticket that you're pretty sure you won, and just a total letdown. But it is what it is. But it's really cool. So that's another thing from way back when. As you can see, the other art around, that's all stuff that I guess this was just kind of like an open canvas for people back then. You'd come down here, you'd get some drinks, and you'd get to paint. But as you can see, and another interesting thing about the door and that piece is, you see the police officer, and I don't know if you guys know anything about this, but it is said that the whole ring down here was run by the LAPD. The King Eddy Saloon was one of the major places for bootlegging, and the LAPD ran the whole thing. So I don't know if that is a drawing, kind of like an ode to it or what, but it is a pretty cool thing. And yes, the LAPD fully controlled all of it. I'm sure everyone watches Boardwalk Empire like I do on HBO, and it was similar to that. Instead of Nucky Thompson, it was the police, and the police commissioner, I believe, was the main guy. I think.
The main guy was the brother of the mayor, was really big, but
Yeah.
I mean, all the connected guys were
High-ups.
running the operation and keeping the East Coast mobsters out of the business. If East Coast guys showed up, bang, they'd get killed or they'd get beaten up and thrown on the outskirts of town, and this city was run clean, and it was run by the professionals, the elected ones.
So it's a cool thing.
Nothing's changed.
No. We did have the first mayor in the United States who was recalled, was Mayor Shaw.
Really?
In 1938, yeah.
It's hard because people always come in here and they expect something really great, and I always feel like I'm letting people down. You kind of got to let your imagination run with you down here and kind of paint the picture for yourself. As you can see back behind the tall gentleman right there, there's a hole in the wall boarded up. That actually used to be a very small hole, and then someone tried to break in through there one night. But you could see through to what was under the hotel. And then you could kind of get an idea of the tunnels that went through here, and it goes under the hotel, and then beyond and beyond, and no one really knows how far they go or where they go, but it's said that I know from what I've heard that you could get to the Alexandria from here, and then tunnels go in different directions. So that's a pretty cool point. When Richard did the History Channel thing down here, and you can Google that and find that on the internet, they actually stuck their camera through there, and it was pretty cool. You could see what it looked like through there and get an idea of what the tunnels were. We're all going to go that way. It's kind of tight back there, but another cool part of down here is there's an old cooling station, a walk-in refrigerator type that they used back then, which is fully made of wood. It's going to probably be restored and be a part of the new bar that they're doing here, which will be really cool. And that's another piece that was straight from the early 1900s in Prohibition. They somehow rigged it to make everything cool for the beer or for the whiskey or however they took it, but you'll see that. So if you go through that, right, it's a tight space. Like I said, I'll meet you on the other side and just follow it around. I'll meet you on the other side. And just come through. You're more than welcome to open it up and take a look inside. It's kind of dark. You'll see some more paintings back there as well. The original brick that's back there. It's really cool.
Oh my God.
So yeah, this is the cooling, and I'm sorry that light just went out like 5 minutes ago, of course. When we're actually down here doing something meaningful, it goes out. So yeah, This is my favorite thing down here. And this used to be filled, believe it or not. The whole thing was actually filled with all these old neon signs and posters and stuff that we've compiled over the years since the 60s. And we found some really cool stuff. And we will be having an auction next Saturday here at 9 o'clock upstairs, auctioning off some mementos from above and below. And there's going to be some terrible junk that you can buy, and there will be some pretty cool neon signs and old posters and some cool stuff. So if you're interested, stop by. And again, as you come through, feel free to open this, check it out. And then when you keep walking this elevator shaft right here, you'll see it's completely caved in, broken. They used to use this to shovel things up, down, up, down.